3 weeks ago, I walked out of my father's retirement party in front of 200 people and told them they'd never see me again. But before I tell you what happened that night, you need to understand where this story really begins. 12 years earlier, when my father decided my life wasn't worth investing in. My name is Heather Evans. I'm 32 years old. If you want to know how I went from being invisible to becoming the person my family depended on without knowing it, stick around. Like and subscribe only if you genuinely want to see how this ends. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Let me take you back to where this story actually starts. The Evans family of Fairfield, Connecticut. Upper middle class, respectable, the kind of family that looked perfect from the outside. My father, Richard Evans, was CEO of a logistics company. We had everything: the house, the car, the country club membership. Everything screamed success, except it was all built on a foundation that was rotting from the inside. My mother died when I was 8. Cancer, fast and brutal. I barely remember her face, but I remember her hands. Soft, always reaching for mine. 2 years later, my father remarried Linda, and she came with a son from her previous marriage, Marcus. Within months, I became invisible. Not through abuse, but through something subtler, through being ignored. Marcus got praise for his grades. Mine were ignored. Marcus got a new car. I got his hand-me-down. Marcus was the future. I was also there. My father never screamed at me. He just looked through me like I was a window. But my grandmother, Margaret Evans, truly saw me. She called every Sunday, asking about my classes, my dreams. She'd say, "You remind me of myself at your age, Heather. Underestimated, but I see you." She left me something when she passed, something no one knew about. The day my future was decided, I was 20 years old. Sophomore at university, 3.8 GPA, applying for scholarships. My father called me home for a family meeting. I found him in his study. Mahogany desk, leather chair, walls lined with awards. Linda stood beside him. "Heather, we need to make sacrifices. Marcus has been accepted into Wharton MBA. We can't afford both. You'll take a break from school." I sat frozen, not from surprise, but from the crushing weight of knowing he'd chosen my brother over me. "When the company stabilizes, I'll make it up to you," he said. He never did. What I learned later was that there was plenty of money. They just wouldn't spend it on me. I didn't argue, I just nodded. But inside, I made a promise to myself. This was the last time anyone would decide my worth. 2 weeks later, I packed a suitcase and moved to Boston with $2,000 in clothes that didn't fit my old life. My first apartment was a studio above a laundromat. The radiator clanked. The walls were paper thin. I ate ramen and day-old bagels from the cafe where I worked mornings. But I learned something about rock bottom. You can't fall any further, which means the only direction is up. I got a job as an administrative assistant at a logistics company. Entry-level, minimum wage. The owner, Walter Barnes, saw something in me my family never had. "You've got a brain, Heather. Use it." So I did. I stayed late. I learned every system, every process. I took free online courses at night. My apartment became my college. I didn't call home. I didn't ask for a single dollar. 4 years later, I had saved enough to start my own consulting firm, Meridian Consulting, LLC. Just me, a laptop, and a rented desk. I kept my name off everything public. Why? Because I knew my family. If they found out I was succeeding, they'd find a way to take credit or tear it down. I built my empire in silence because silence was the only language my family had taught me. My grandmother Margaret died 2 years ago when I was 30. I flew to Connecticut for the funeral, sat in the back, and watched my father deliver a eulogy about a remarkable woman who dedicated her life to family. The irony was suffocating. 3 days later, a lawyer called. "Eleanor Smith. Your grandmother established a trust fund in your name 8 years ago. No other family member knows about it. The trust contained $800,000. She left me a letter. 'My dearest Heather,' Eleanor read. 'I know what they did to you. I know about the tuition, the the promises. This money is yours. No strings. Use it to build the life you deserve, the life they tried to take from you. Don't let anyone say you're not worthy. When they finally see your worth, it will be too late for them. I believe in you. All my love, Grandma Margaret. I used that money to expand Meridian Consulting. The rest I kept as insurance for a day I always knew might come. That day came 3 weeks ago. Meridian Consulting today is a $4 million company with 15 employees, Boston offices. I wear Cartier now, not to impress anyone, but because I earned every piece myself. We specialize in logistics optimization. It's not glamorous, but it's profitable, and I'm excellent at it. Here's the ironic part. One of our biggest clients is Evans Logistics, my father's company. They signed a 5-year contract with us 3 years ago, worth 40% of their annual revenue in operational savings. My father has no idea. All communications go through my team. All contracts signed by my CFO, Daniel Reeves. When Richard has praised Meridian Consulting at industry events, he's been praising his own daughter's work. The daughter he told everyone was worthless. 3 weeks ago, I received an invitation to his retirement party. Gold, embossed lettering. I almost threw it away. But then I thought about Grandma Margaret, about 12 years of silence, about every promise broken. I didn't go for reconciliation. I went because I knew with absolute certainty that my father would do something unforgivable, and when he did, I wanted to witness it on my own terms. The Fairfield Country Club hasn't changed in 30 years. Same chandeliers, same valet service, same crowd pretending they belong together. I wore a black Valentino dress, simple and expensive. My grandmother's pearls, a Cartier watch, a Hermes Birkin, everything I bought myself. Linda intercepted me at the entrance. Her eyes did a quick inventory of my outfit. "Heather, you came." Her tone suggested pleasant surprise and minor inconvenience. "Your father wasn't sure you'd have something appropriate to wear." I smiled. How thoughtful of him. Inside, 200 guests mingled beneath crystal light. The who's who of Connecticut business. I recognized some faces from my father's dinner parties. None recognized me. I found my seat. Table 14, far corner, near the service entrance. Not the family table. Not even close. I wasn't surprised. The evening progressed. My father held court near the bar, surrounded by associates. I heard him mention Meridian Consulting. "They're the backbone of our operations now. Whoever runs that company is a genius," he said. The other man nodded. "I've been trying to get a meeting with them. Very private operation. Do you know who's behind it?" My father shrugged. "Never met them. Everything goes through lawyers. But honestly, I don't care who they are as long as they keep delivering." I sipped my champagne to hide my smile. My phone buzzed. Text from Daniel. Contract renewal from Evans Logistics arrived. 5 years. "Waiting on your decision," I typed back. "I'll have an answer by end of week." My father didn't know that Meridian's contract was coming up for renewal. If we walked away, they'd lose 40% of operational efficiency overnight. In logistics, that's a death sentence. I hadn't decided what to do. Part of me wanted to keep business separate from personal toxicity. But as I watched my father bask in praise for success built partly on my work, something shifted. The ballroom lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage. My father climbed the steps to thunderous applause. Thank you, he said. 40 years in this business. It's been one hell of a ride." He thanked his wife, his mentors, his luck, taking credit for everything. Then came the family segment. I couldn't have done any of this without my incredible wife, Linda. He gestured to her table. 30 years of putting up with me. "You're a saint." Linda dabbed at her eyes perfectly on cue. "And my son Marcus, who will be taking over as CEO come January. The future of Evans Logistics." I couldn't be prouder. Standing ovation. Marcus rose and waved. Then my father's eyes found me, and something shifted. Something mean. And of course, my daughter Heather. The spotlight swung to my table. I felt 200 pairs of eyes turn toward me. No degree, no real career, just freeloads off the family. He paused for effect. But hey, at least she showed up tonight. Maybe someday she'll find a rich husband to take care of her. The room erupted in laughter. Real laughter. Cruel laughter. I sat perfectly still. Didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Didn't look away. I waited for the laughter to fade. Then I stood up. The room went quiet. I could feel every eye on me. I picked up my champagne glass slowly, deliberately. My father's smile faltered. He hadn't expected me to react. I raised the glass toward him. "Congratulations on your retirement, Dad." My voice was clear, steady, loud enough for every microphone to pick up. 40 years in business. You taught me about hard work, about sacrifice, about what loyalty family can expect from you. The silence was absolute. "So here's to you." I lifted my glass higher. Cheers. "This is the last time any of you will see me." I set the glass down without drinking. I picked up my Birkin bag, turned, and walked toward the exit. My heels clicked against the hardwood, the only sound in that cavernous room. I didn't run. I didn't hurry. I walked with my spine straight, head high. Behind me, complete, devastating silence. Someone gasped. Someone whispered. But mostly there was just the echo of my footsteps. I pushed through the double doors and stepped into the night. For the first time in 12 years, I could breathe. I was almost to my car when I heard footsteps. "Heather, stop." Linda's voice, shrill and furious. I kept walking. "What do you think you're doing?" She grabbed my arm. "Do you have any idea what you just did? You humiliated your father." I looked at her hand until she removed it. "I humiliated him?" I asked quietly. "I think you have that backwards." My father appeared behind her, his face a thundercloud. "Get back inside," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Apologize now." "No." The word hung between us. "This isn't negotiable, Heather. I'm your father. I'm telling you." "You're telling me what?" I cut him off, something I'd never done, that I should go back and let you keep using me as your punchline? That I should smile while you tell 200 people I'm worthless? It was a joke. No. It was the truth of how you see me. And I'm done pretending otherwise. I opened my car door. My father stepped forward. "If you leave now, you're done. No more family, no more support, nothing." I almost laughed. "Dad, you cut me off 12 years ago. You just didn't have the courage to say it out loud. Tonight, I'm saying it for both of us." I started the engine. "Goodbye." And I drove away. I pulled into a rest stop 20 minutes outside Fairfield. For a long moment, I just breathed. Let me step out of the story for a second. If you've been through something similar, if you've been the family disappointment, the invisible one, the punchline, I see you. I've been you. If any of this is resonating, drop a comment and tell me your story. Knowing I'm not alone means more than you can imagine. Subscribe if you want to know what happened next, because the next part is where everything changes. The morning after the party, I felt lighter than I had in years. But I knew it wasn't over. Families like mine don't let go easily. They would try to control the narrative, make me the villain. What they didn't know was that I had something they couldn't spin their way out of. It started with text messages, not from my father, he was too proud, but from cousins, aunts, family friends, suddenly concerned about my mental state. "Heather, I heard about the party. Your dad says you're struggling. Do you need help? We're all worried about you. Your father loves you." The narrative was already being written. Poor Heather, unstable, jealous, had an episode. Richard Evans, patient and loving father, doing his best with a troubled daughter. I didn't respond to any of them. Then came an interesting call. Tuesday afternoon. A Connecticut number I didn't recognize. "Miss Evans, this is James Crawford. I'm a partner at Evans Logistics. Richard would like to discuss mending fences. Between you and me, there's been some concerning chatter about your connection to certain business partners. Rumors about Meridian. Someone thought they saw you at their offices once. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding." I went cold. They were fishing. How? Who had seen me? "I'm not sure what you're referring to," I said carefully, "but tell my father I have nothing to discuss with him." I hung up. They were getting close. It was time to stop waiting and start acting. While I fielded concerned texts, my father faced a different crisis in Connecticut. Richard walked into what should have been a routine meeting. His CFO looked like he'd seen a ghost. "We have a problem with Meridian Consulting. Their contract is up for renewal. They haven't responded to our extension offer." Richard frowned. "So send another offer, increase the terms." "We've tried 3 times. Their legal team just says under review. We've called their executives. They won't meet." "Sir, Meridian is extremely private. No one meets with their leadership. Everything goes through intermediaries." Richard's frown deepened. "We've been working with them for 3 years. Someone must have met them." "No, sir. It's all been virtual. No one at this company has ever met the actual ownership." A long silence. "If they walk away, we lose 40% of our operational efficiency overnight. It would take 18 months to find a replacement." "I know what it means," Richard snapped. "Find out who owns that company. I want a name by end of week." Thursday evening, my phone rang. "Linda." I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Heather, sweetheart." Her voice was honey and sugar. "I've been so worried." "Have you?" "Of course. That's what family does. Listen, about the party, your father feels terrible. He didn't mean what he said. You know how he is." "Does he want to apologize?" I asked. A hesitation. "He wants to move forward. That's what matters. So no apology." "Heather, don't be difficult. We're trying to help you." "Help me?" I laughed. "Linda, you've spent 22 years making sure I wasn't part of this family. Why now?" Another pause. "I think we both know there's more going on here than family drama. Whatever you're planning, it would be better if you just came home and talked this through." "No." I hung up. They knew something. They just didn't know how much to fear yet. The next morning, I drove to Eleanor Smith's office in downtown Boston. Eleanor had been my grandmother's lawyer. Her office was sleek and efficient. Glass and steel, Boston skyline views. "I've been expecting you," she said. "I assume this is about Evans Logistics. They're investigating Meridian." Eleanor nodded, unsurprised. "Your anonymity was always temporary. How do you want this to unfold?" She spread documents across her desk. "Your contract includes a standard 30-day termination notice. You can end it for any reason. No penalties. Your grandmother's trust is completely separate from the Evans family estate. Legally unimpeachable. Richard has no claim, even if he tried." She looked at me. "Margaret made sure of that." "What did she say about this when she set up the trust?" Eleanor smiled sadly. "She said one day, Heather is going to need leverage. When that day comes, I want her to have it." She also said something else. "Tell her not to be cruel about it. Just be honest. Sometimes the truth is punishment enough." I nodded. The truth it was. That afternoon, I met with Daniel Reeves, my CFO. "They want to renew," he said. 5 more years. Increase by 12%. They're nervous. I pulled up financial projections. If we walk away, Evans Logistics loses 40% efficiency within 60 days. That's a free fall. Their clients will look elsewhere. Their margins collapse. Daniel nodded. "Marcus just took over as CEO. If this hits on his watch, his reputation is finished before he starts." "What do you want to do?" he asked. "Draft the termination letter," I said. 30-day notice per contract. Strategic repositioning. That's all they need. But I'm also writing a personal letter to my father. Separate envelope. He deserves to know who he's been depending on and why it's ending. "When do you want to send it?" "Monday, first thing." I spent all of Sunday writing that letter, 7 drafts. The first was too angry, the second too cold, the third too desperate. The final was simple and clean. "Dear Dad, you said I had no future. You told 200 people I was worthless. Meridian Consulting is mine. I built it. For 3 years, the daughter you dismissed has been your company's cornerstone. I'm ending our contract not as revenge, but as a boundary. Grandma Margaret left me a trust fund you never knew about. She saw what you couldn't, that I was worth investing in. Everything I have, I built myself. Don't contact me again. Heather Margaret Evans." I included my middle name deliberately. the name I'd added in honor of the only person in my family who believed in me. I attached photocopies of the Meridian Incorporation papers, my name as sole owner clearly visible. The truth. Sometimes that's the most devastating weapon of all. Monday, 9 a.m., courier confirmation. The package arrived at Evans Logistics. Patricia Chen, Richard's assistant, signed for it. I sat watching my phone. Missed calls started coming. 10:15. Richard. 10:17. Richard again. 10:23. Marcus. 10:31. Linda. By noon, 12 missed calls, 8 texts, 2 voicemails. At 2 p.m., my assistant knocked. Miss Evans, there's a family here who says they need to see you immediately. They're in the lobby. They'd driven to Boston. 5 hours of traffic and panic. I took a deep breath, straightened my blazer. Send them to conference room B. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Conference room B had glass walls. I'd chosen it deliberately. My employees could see inside but not hear. Witnesses to ensure civility. Richard, Linda, and Marcus stood near the window, looking out at the Boston skyline. They'd never expected to see from this perspective, from my territory. My father turned. His face was gray. Heather. His voice cracked. What is this? Hello, Dad. Linda. Marcus. I sat at the head of the conference table. I assume you received my letter. Your letter? Marcus stepped forward, jabbing his finger. You can't just... Sit down, Marcus. My voice was quiet but firm. I won't discuss anything with you yelling. Richard nodded. They sat. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Richard leaned forward. This is all some kind of misunderstanding. What part? Meridian Consulting. You can't possibly own a company like that. You didn't. I did. I slid a folder across the table. Company registration, tax filings, client list. 3 years ago, your company signed a contract with mine. You praised my work at industry events. You called us transformative. You just didn't know you were praising me. Linda's face went pale. But you don't have a degree. I was a 20-year-old told to sacrifice her future. I built something anyway. My father stared at the documents. Okay, I apologize. I apologize about the party. Is that what you want? I'm sorry. Now can we talk about the contract? You're sorry because you need something from me. That's not an apology. For God's sake, Heather. Marcus slammed the table. Do you know what happens if you pull this contract? 20% of our workforce gone because of your petty revenge. It's not revenge. It's a business decision. I kept my voice level. I built a company. Your company chose to depend on mine. That's not my fault. You could have told us, Linda interjected. You could have said something. When? When you told me I didn't need education because I'd find a husband? When you spread rumors about my mental health? I turned to my father. I would have kept the contract going. I wasn't planning this. But you stood in front of 200 people and told me I was worthless. You chose this, not me. Richard's jaw worked. For a moment, I thought I saw recognition. Then it was gone. What do you want? He asked flatly. Nothing you can give me. There must be something. I don't want anything from you. I never did. I just want you to know the truth. Fine. Richard's voice went cold. If that's how you want to play this, you're done. No more family, nothing. Dad, you cut me off at 20. What inheritance? I could make things difficult. I have lawyers. On what grounds? Every document is legal. Every contract signed in good faith. There's nothing you can sue me for. He glared at me. Don't be so sure. Actually, I am sure because Eleanor Smith, who was also Grandma Margaret's lawyer, has reviewed everything. You remember Eleanor? Margaret used her specifically because she knew you'd try something like this. Linda gasped. Margaret knew? She left me $800,000 specifically structured so you couldn't touch it. I pulled out a photocopy of the trust document. She knew exactly what kind of family she raised. That's why she protected me. Richard's face went white. She had no right. She had every right. It was her money. I stood. This meeting is over. I've said everything I came to say. I walked toward the door, then paused. One more thing. If you contact me again, calls, texts, showing up here, I will release every email, every document of how this family treated me, all backed up, all legal, and all would make an interesting story for the business press. The receptionist will show you out. I stood in the doorway watching them gather themselves. 3 people who'd spent my entire life making me feel small, now looking very small. My father rose slowly. Linda clutched her handbag. Marcus stared with something new in his eyes. Not contempt, fear. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes, it is. I spent 12 years building a life you tried to convince me I couldn't have. I did it without your help, without your approval. I'll continue without any of you." Richard stopped in front of me. We just looked at each other. Father and daughter, strangers who share a last name. "You really hate us?" he asked quietly. "No, Dad. I don't hate you. That's what you don't understand. I just don't need you anymore. And that's something you'll have to learn to live with." He had no response. They walked out past my employees who pretended not to watch. Here's what I learned. Your worth isn't determined by a degree, your family's opinion, or who believes in you. It's determined by what you build when no one's watching, by who you become when everyone counts you out, by the life you create with your own hands. My father thought he was teaching me a lesson that night. What he did was set me free. I don't hate my family. Hate takes energy. I'd rather spend it on people who deserve it, on work I believe in, on a life that's truly mine. Boundaries aren't about revenge. They're about protection. They're about saying, "This is where my life begins and your damage ends." If you're in a family that makes you feel small, if you have people who see your potential as a threat, if you've been the family disappointment, I see you. I've been you. There is life on the other side of walking away. Thank you for listening. If this resonated, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You are not what they said you were. You never were. You are so much more. Until next time, this is Heather, and I'm finally free.